message that you're supposed to be receiving?
Mm-hmm.
Or how are you supposed to be gaining strength from these scenarios?
Yeah.
But you have to take time to reflect on that. If you are not, I don't know that you'll ever actually progress past this phase.
Hello there. It's Mandy Woodard, and this is Courageous Conversations. The show is all about our life journey and the growing and healing we go through. Sometimes it takes great courage to step out of where we are and choose a different path. I started this show because I wanted you to know that you are not alone, no matter where you are in your life journey. And my hope is that you will hear a story that I share or a conversation that I have, and you will get something out of it. You will have an aha moment or a realization, and you'll know what you need to do, because it is my belief that we are all here to help each other grow and become the best version of ourselves and find what our purpose is. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Let's get started. Can I make a confession to you before I jump into this? It is so awkward sometimes to be like, hi. But obviously, I want to say hello to you. So hello. Thank you for being here and listening. It is March 28th, and this is episode 21. Today, I have my friend Alexia Ferrari on here. What a magnificent name. And actually, what's funny is in the beginning, when I was first having a conversation with her, I said that she is a powerhouse. And my gosh, I didn't even think about it. Her name. She is a powerhouse just in her name. This woman is phenomenal, and I can't wait for you to hear her speak today. I do want to hit on a couple things, though, before you listen. One being that my perfectionist side is greatly challenged with this podcast on a regular basis. And today you're going to hear my first virtual interview, and maybe you heard a little bit in that first clip, but I had her on FaceTime. I had done a test run with FaceTime and the mic back last week with somebody, and it sounded okay. But of course, when it's my time to shine and cut it on, it doesn't. It did not sound as good as I would have hoped for it to. So I know some of you listening probably do not care, but it is something that matters to me. I don't know if it's a spell or if it's just that I was always taught if you're going to do something, you got to do it right. But I also know that getting it done is better than not doing it. And Alexia doesn't live super close to me. We do talk about that a little bit. We're like within driving distance, but it isn't easy to meet up, especially with kids and running businesses and all the things. And I wanted her on this podcast, and I knew that this was how I was going to make that happen as soon as possible. I actually wanted her to come on last season, but I wasn't sure if I was going to do virtual interviews. So I'm just sharing that because I am also learning and growing. I know that it's easy to listen to someone who is giving guidance and sharing stories, but just know that I'm in there too. I'm in the thick of it sometimes, and I have to step out of that belief that it has to be just so, or it has to be perfect, and just kind of roll with the punches and be flexible. So other than a couple little glitches here and there, it really wasn't too bad. So I'm sure you are going to think it's totally fine. We are our own worst critic, right? That goes for me too. Before I let you listen to our conversation, though, I do want to share something with you. I am hosting an online workshop April 23rd. It's a Sunday. I believe Sundays are for the soul, so that's what it's all about. I'm going to talk through healing through your chakras, and then we are going to end on a Reiki healing session. I'm so excited about it. I hope you can join. I'm going to put a link in the show notes so you can grab your ticket. And I hope to see you there. You, of course, can come camera off. It'll be via Zoom. So camera off, you don't have to show your face if you don't want to. Of course, I would love to see it. But I'm so laid back. Come as you are. Just come and get your cup filled. Do something to take care of yourself, because that's really why I want to do it, is because we all need things in our life, tools to help us through, to guide us. And that is the purpose in that. Okay, I'm not going to take up any more talk time. I want you to listen to this conversation. Alexia had some amazing little one-liners in there. I had a hard time picking what to use for the intro. So you're going to want to listen all the way through. And then, of course, you're going to want to find her on social media after. I'll be sure to link her Instagram in my show notes as well. All right, my friend. Here is my conversation with Alexia Ferrari. Hi, Alexia.
What's going on, Mandy?
I'm excited to talk to you in my first ever virtual interview.
I'm so excited.
I'm deciding if I even like this. I don't know if I like the virtual.
We're gonna see what happens.
Yeah. I think I would have rather met up with you.
Well, I always love in person. And
yeah.
I you in such a long time.
I know. So actually maybe that's where we start, is how we met.
Absolutely. No, I think so, for sure. I think it initially started I know. I remember Jasmine Star.
Yep. It was her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
she had like a group or something.
It was like a challenge. It was like an Instagram challenge to really connect with your followers and create engaging content. And I love all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And really into all the things that she was putting out. And so, yeah, we joined. And I think we got hooked in on some sort of thread. And
yeah,
I put in, and then I fell in love.
Well, it's funny because I think you were the first person I ever met on the internet, and like,
yeah, which, it's funny because we say that, we can, attract these big communities and audiences, and you're connecting with like multiple people throughout the day. I mean, sometimes for me, I've connected with 20 plus people throughout the day, and don't even get me started on just like the commenting piece, right? Like I'm talking and like basically Messenger itself. I mean, it can be so many, and depending on how big your community is, it can be really overwhelming. And so I found it to be super comforting that it wasn't just like a voice box,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a handle, like you were an actual person. And I remember, I'm not sure if you remember, but we did like a FaceTime together.
Yeah.
Which we had some tech trouble.
Yeah. We had to do it on Instagram.
Yeah. And I think I was running late actually, now that I'm remembering it. But I just remember seeing your face, I'm like, wow, she's like a real human being and she's not a weirdie.
Yeah. You know what? I remember you were driving somewhere and you storied the river, and I knew exactly where you were.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, you live close to me, but we weren't that close, but we were close enough that we decided to meet. But I can't even remember the logistics of it. I want to say that was like 2018.
I think it was 2018.
Or 19.
This is like pre-kids. This is Lex before kids.
Yeah.
I was going 1,000 miles an hour, I think, when I met you, just professionally. And I was hosting an event at the time. And I think, honestly, that's part of the conversation. I was doing a lot of just a lot of promotion for that event. It was a women's empowerment event. And we got to talking about it. And we ended up hopping on our call and just honestly getting to know each other. And it was awesome because then led to in person, because we saw the river. We knew that we were close. And I'll never forget, getting so excited to meet you because we would go to this little shop and we get waffles. Yeah,
Brandon's. So Brandon, he listens regularly, so I'm sure he'll hear this. He was our uniter with the waffles at Cordial Coffee. You know what? That's going to lead into the next thing is what people are like. We've had this little mini conversation here already, but I'm sure the question is, who is Alexia? And I want to say who I know Alexia to be, and then I want you to tell us. Is that okay?
Sure, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just so funny because we always ask people, well, who are you? What do you do?
Right.
And I mean, there's so much to that, but it's so flat often because it's like, well, I'm a person first and
Right.
foremost. I'm a friend and all of these things. And so I'm glad we started.
Yeah.
That's good.
I do too. I like that too. I'm so laid back, but I know you as this empowering powerhouse. Like, you don't have to be doing anything. You could be singing to your children in your stories, and you are a powerhouse. You are just this phenomenal woman that I have just so gravitated towards. Even from those first couple stories, like, I don't know, you just don't meet a lot of people like you. And you were so inspiring, and I felt so aligned, like our energies just connected. And when we met in person, it was like we couldn't stop talking.
Oh my gosh, hours. I think we ate waffles. I ate too many waffles. And then when I was pregnant and meeting with you, I was eating way too many waffles. But yeah, I remember it just didn't stop. It just kept flowing. And I think that's when you know, like, you're in just the presence of someone that is just, that gets you. They're on your level. It's like you're vibing hard. And I'm not one for surface level conversation. I never have been. I hate them, in fact.
Same.
So find someone where you can truly connect with them. And I urge anyone who's listening, if you have kind of been called to, meet up with people locally, just do it. And I think we've been, for the past couple years especially, so reclusive because of COVID, et cetera, in our homes, just projecting out to a screen. We need human connection and love, and that comes through touch. It comes from, like actually seeing your eyes light up and, listening to your heart. So do it. Get out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So now you get to follow it with telling me, like, okay, Alexia, so who are you? What do you do? What do you got going on?
Professionally for the past decade plus, I've been supporting a military command, essentially helping organizations grow, helping their talent grow and develop. So I run a leadership development series for the Department of the Navy. I work for a wonderful firm, and I support them in doing that work. And I'm so obsessed with the program that I built, and I get to work with incredible leaders. I get to train mostly on how do you connect with people? How do you build relationships that actually matter so you can do mission-based work? The work we do is literally saving the world, as my vice president always says, and it's true. And so it's important that the heartbeat of that is rooted in the people, and the people being connected to each other. So that's kind of what I do in my corporate space. So I'm a corporate lady, absolutely, but I also have an entrepreneurial heart. And so, doing this personal development work, this leadership development work, communication work, I found that I really wanted to create some sort of community, a place where people could connect and just be themselves and really just level up in all the ways that they want to, because doing that and change and transformation, it's scary. It's scary work because it's inner work, and we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, who the heck am I?
Yeah.
And that can be a very vulnerable place. And so I launched a women's empowerment company called The Sexy Side of Life. Initially, that's kind of where it started. I put on events and launched programs where women over 10 weeks could learn about themselves and use all the techniques that I've kind of curated over the past decade in the military space to really transform within and create something really special in their lives and do all the things that they've just been dreaming about, right? And so that's kind of where it started. And, interestingly enough, by the time I launched it, I ended up finding myself pregnant with my first baby. And I'll tell you, when you have kids, things change.
Yeah.
Your desire, your passions change. Your ability to serve changes because you start to uncover all this really unique magic within you as you become enlightened by the kids that are around you and all of their talents and gifts. You get to see, wow, what other things can I do? And so I ended up also launching a talent development firm. It's called the Ferrari Factor. My last name is Ferrari, by the way. And really it's about uncovering that magic within you. What is that X factor within you so you can go build the career of your dreams? Yes, it takes transformation, it takes goal setting and all that to do it, but how can we brand you in such a way so you can do this work of your heart? And I found people have a lot of trouble with that. They have trouble understanding, well, who the heck am I? And how do we position ourselves in such a way so people can connect to us, people can understand us? And so I help people brand themselves so they can land jobs that they love or create the business that they've been dreaming about. And it's been really fun work. I love getting to do it, helping people. And I think the coolest part is watching someone come to me and I see the fear.
Yeah.
I see that they want a change. They want to be doing work that they love. They don't really know how to get started. And sometimes people don't even understand what talent they have.
Yeah.
And just by taking some time to uncover it and giving themselves that blessing, you just watch the blossom happen. It's really
cool. Oh, well, I can so relate to that. It is so cool to be able to see that. I
watched it in you. You've been on quite a journey yourself, helping all kinds of people and women and doing that deep work, that just transforms their life.
Yeah, it's powerful. But I love everything you do. I think that's why I love you so much.
That's so kind of you to say. I'm pretty raw on my social media, so if anybody ends up following along on Instagram, typically the platform that I like the most.
Yeah.
I'm a goofball. I'm going to show you real.
Yeah.
I get on there with no makeup.
Yeah.
I get there and let you see the icky, air quotes, because that's what people can relate to. And I want a woman to wake up and see a story where I'm looking a hot mess express, but I'm also come confident, right? And showing you that, hey, it doesn't always look so perfect and beautiful and on a bow. That's not life.
Right.
But this is life, and you can still show up as your best self, and you can still have a big mess behind you, and you can still have some wild little turkeys running around, and you can still do it, right? And so I want people to know that it's okay to be themselves.
And how did you get to that point, though? Have you always been that way? Like, were you
No, heck no, definitely not. I remember a time, and my husband and I laugh about it so much. I was in Nashville at the time, living there, and I was pursuing I also sing, and I was pursuing music pretty intensely. And I remember, I wouldn't leave my house unless I was fully decked out. Okay, I'm talking I look good. And I think it was just the fear of if I run into somebody that could connect with somebody else, I want them to see the best parts of me. I want them to be wowed and be awed. I think what ended up happening over time is life. I ended up just and the biggest thing was kids, because that will reveal the weakest parts of yourself.
Oh,
it
for
will
sure.
Show you where you need to get some strength. It's going to show you where you need to do some of that work so you can be.
Oh my God, if I could just highlight that right there. They are your greatest teachers. You think it's the other way around. It is not.
Yeah, they are. I mean, good days and bad days, and some days I'm like, yeah, man, I'm rocking it. I'm like such a cool mom.
Right.
I'm taking these kids out, but it took a while to get to that place. But then, other days, there's mashed potatoes flying past my head. I have a little bit of poo-poo on my arm, maybe my cheek, and I don't smell the best. And not because of the poop, because I haven't showered.
It gets, that changes. That does change. But it gets harder in other ways.
Yeah. But, I think that even before kids, I think just what's going to help get you comfortable with showing up as you is actually showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that doing it online for me was the one way to fast track me to confidence and the one way to fast track me to being exactly who I am. Because I had to.
Yeah.
People sniff out something that's not real in a second. And believe me, they are not going to watch that story if it is not real. If it's over rehearsed, I don't rehearse. I won't rehearse a story or something to say. I don't rehearse. If you're watching a reel of mine, that was never rehearsed. I have an idea, and the minute it sparks joy and excitement for me to record it, if I can, I'm going to. That's why a lot of times you'll see me with a messy bun, no makeup, in my reel where I'm trying to train and educate. And sometimes you'll see me looking fully done up, because that's what's real, and that's where I can give you the most authentic version of what I'm going to say, because it's right there, it's palpable, right? And so doing that and jumping on that energy and helping that leverage me into a space where I can connect with people has been really helpful. But yeah, the first time I went live, I was thinking about this the other day. The first time I went live, I was taking Laura, who's my sister-in-law. She lives with me. She has Down syndrome, for anyone in the audience who doesn't know. Hasn't followed me yet on Instagram, but she's amazing. And I was taking her to a date. She goes on dates frequently with her friend. It's really cute, by the way. And they were going on a date to the Green Turtle, and I was part of like a challenge group at the time, mastermind, and they said, okay, like if you've never gone live before, like your challenge this week is to go live. And I am sweating bullets, okay? I just thought, well, it's not filtered. I can't like pre-record it. What if I just go blank? And as much as I love being on stage, and I get so excited from the high I get afterwards, and the same thing when I'm singing or speaking, I would have a ton of anxiety. Like so much anxiety having to get on the stage. And so it was the same feeling. I could feel it rising in me when I had to do this challenge. I'm like, okay, I got to do this by, the end of the week. And of course I waited. And here we are Friday night at the Green Turtle. And I'm like, well, I'll have time. I'll have like an hour. Like I'll do it in the car. So I brought, I didn't have any materials. Okay. This is like before, I actually invested in some equipment and all that stuff. I didn't know about ring lights or traveling ring lights or anything. I brought a lamp, like an old school college lamp, okay? And I took one of these old school chargers, the battery packs, okay? Like they buzz and they hum, like when you put them in your car. Like it was huge. I plugged in, this college lamp. I think it was like lime green or something. I don't know why I had it. And I'm trying to finagle it behind my steering wheel so I can go live for the first time. And I finally did it. I'm blinded. I can't even see anything. I comments, because it's right at my face. I was terrified. I was so scared. I blanked. I don't even know what I said, but I remember that people actually joined, and it was the time when it was kind of new, like people were just starting to do it. And I remember getting messages afterwards from people like, thank you so much. I gotta get emotional, but thank you so much for saying that, and sharing that story.
Yeah.
I'm going through something and it helped me. And I just want to remind everybody who's on this call, don't do it for you. Yes, show up as you because it's part of yourself, but it's not even for you.
Yeah.
It's the benefit of someone else.
Yeah.
So take the ego out of it. And when you find yourself in a bunch of fear and paralyzed to just share who you are, think about how you can serve and how it's going to help someone else. Exactly. And when I do that, I find myself in a space where I just feel better and the nerves just kind of start to dissipate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually said that to my husband recently. He's nervous about to do something for work. And I said, that's because you're thinking too much about yourself. You got to think about the other person on the other end of that call. That's probably way more nervous than you are.
Right. And it's funny. So I'm giving a training tomorrow, actually, to one of the Navy commands I support. And it's all about cultivating relationships. And one of the things we're talking about is when you're connecting and networking with somebody, actually make a connection. Mm-hmm. Take the time to be present and listen. But we're so caught up in our own stuff and our own fear, and we can't be still enough to listen to what even they're saying. We're just so worried about what the heck's going to come out of our mouth and what we're going to contribute that we're not focused on the other person that's in front of us. Yeah. And so we leave that conversation, and two people have just been chattering about, in their minds mostly, about what they can say to be impressive, to leave an impact. It's not about that. Your impact's going to come from listening. Right. Your impact is going to come from the need that they have, but you're not going to know that need unless you can listen, right? Yeah. We're too caught up in ourselves. Yeah. And I think the best way to practice, you guys, if you're not connecting out in the ethers or whatever, do it with your kids.
Yeah. Well, because if you're too busy trying to think about what you're going to say that's going to impress this person, then you're not at all hearing what they're saying.
Right. And the interesting thing about a child is that we're not really worried usually about what they're going to think.
Yeah.
It's a great place for you to start. It's a great place for you just to dial it in, turn off the phones, just like, what are they saying and how can I help? How can I serve?
Yeah.
And I think by those micro moves every day of us just kind of showing up in that way. And when we get to do something big, we get to go to a big networking event or whatever, then we just start acting that way. It becomes more natural.
Right.
In how we do it when we're out.
Yeah. What we do in practice, we do in play. That's what if you don't practice it, you're not going to execute it when it matters. I want to know how you were as a kid, though.
I was probably, I would definitely say that I was an outgoing child for sure. I think if someone would describe me as a little kid, a ton of energy. So I don't think that's really changed for me over time, interestingly enough. But I think that there was I actually had a lot of anxiety as a child. I didn't think I'd talk about that today. Wow. Some of it around like performing and stuff. I always was called to perform, always called to like want to captivate an audience of some kind. A lot of times for me, it was through entertainment, so dancing and singing. But I had a ton of fear that would build up before I'd go on stage. I mean, like I would get sick before I would go on stage, but I would do it anyway, and I would keep kind of just doing it anyway. And so I think that for as all smiles and giggles and big energy that I would have, a lot of times there was some stuff going on beneath the surface, whether it would be some fear to get on stage or just even anxiety runs in my family, and I would just have a lot of obsessive thoughts. Like I would get stuck in my head a lot.
Yeah.
And so as a very young person, thank God my mom was so knowledgeable in things like NLP, like neuro-linguistic programming. She was so good at that. She gave me a lot of tools early on in my life to combat some of that stuff. And I think this is the kind of thing that, like, parents don't really talk about, but their kids have a lot of stuff going on beneath the surface. And if we can be quiet enough to understand what their needs are, we can give them these tools, I think, in advance of them coming in front of and encountering some big life things, right? Because if we aren't prepared to handle it as a young person, when we get older, we're not prepared. And so we retreat instead of showing up to the table. Yeah. And over time, retreating, I think that from even a woo-woo stance, like we're not, like part of us is not coming out. So like we're just, I want to say something about like vibration. Like we're not vibing. Like we're not, we're inhibited, right? And when we're inhibited long enough, we're in our shell too long. Like, and I was even talking about this the other day. I think it manifests in depression. I think it manifests in disease. I think it manifests in to just overthinking, like all of those things, right? When we don't self-express. Yeah. So having helps us to show up better at a young age. But so I think the young Lexi was very energetic, ton. But I would definitely put on a show. I would know how to put on a show. So like if I was still feeling kind of like inside, I would definitely know how to like bring it out. And then I would use tools to help me calm down. Like if I was scared of something or whatever, having a lot of bad thoughts or, scared to go on stage.
Let me tell you how that is so incredible that because I was going to ask, how would you work through that? But you're saying your mom knew how to recognize that and give you tools.
Oh yeah. I mean, she knew she knew a lot about things that are catchy today, but I don't even think back then, like they had like a title, but like even breath work and things like that. Right. Like you're just taking a moment to center and breathe. And before we even started this call, I was in a little bit of a frenzy. I was running late, and maybe you're just like, all right, let's just take a moment and let's just breathe. And that works as well as it does today. It worked back then too, right? Like it's just, so those things are important.
Well, I didn't know that then though. So it's kind of incredible to see. It makes me a little excited because I know I've been working with my kids for a long time on this. I think I started the breathing when my second son was 3 or 4. And
yeah.
I had him breathe. But I didn't know that with my first son. I didn't know any of these things. So
I think it's a whole new world. I think growing up in the 80s, I think it was a lot of dust it off and keep going.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I don't know. I think when my anxiety that I had in high school, it was they treated me for something physical versus the anxiety, like the stomach issues versus the fact that this is anxiety, but nobody knew. It wasn't understood. It wasn't part of the conversation back then. So yeah, seeing what you went through with your mom and how you are now, I think that's so phenomenal. It makes me a little excited for my kids because I hope that they're retaining what I'm saying.
They are. I think it comes from that relationship. It comes from cultivating that relationship early on. I think it comes from, us stopping, like actually slowing down enough. I mean, I'm a very busy woman. I'll be honest. I run a business. I am a full-time corporate professional. Running a communications basically department for my firm and doing leadership development for my clients. And I'm a mom, and I'm a stay-at-home mom essentially. Like I work from my shed, for a good part of the day, and then. But throughout the day, I'm popping in. I'm doing lunches. I've got a little throw up on my shoulder, and then I'm hitting it hard again back in my shed. It's a lot of balance. So if we aren't intentional about taking a moment to slow down, we're gonna miss it. We're gonna miss what they need. And they're little people, like they have a lot of big emotions, and when they're having a temper tantrum, or if they're a little older, if they're moody or something, like that is our calling sign to say, hey, what is going on? What is happening? And a lot of times you say, stop acting that way, or like, cut it out, or like, would you put a smile on, or just whatever. Well, what is actually going on beneath the surface there? Just dig a little bit, be intentional, ask questions. I think that's the best way, to get some answers. And, I am not, I'm not going to ever say that I'm a professional, like there's people today that actually help you with your children and tell you what to say. I'm not one of those. That's not what I do. But I have a lot of experience working with people and connect professionally, and I'm finding it's just the same. Yeah. I ask a ton of questions when I'm connecting with somebody for the first time, or not even for the first time. I'm just listening to them. Ask questions to your kids. It's going to reveal a little nugget, and then you just kind of have to just pull back the layer a little bit. Like, what do they need? When you don't do that for yourself, you can't hear your own inner voice either. Oh, gosh. No, you can't. And you said something else, actually, I just remembered I wanted to respond to, is talking about when we aren't doing those things, how it can manifest in anxiety and depression and illness. And I am quite a bit woo-woo. That's why I am an energy worker, because I see it. And I just taught a Reiki class this weekend, 1 and 2, and we talked all about this, how your energy can get out of balance, and then you find illness in your body and wherever it decides to land. Yeah. So it's true. You lower that vibration. We all emit a frequency. Yeah. And you lower that vibration, and then you find yourself sick or having lower back pain or having stomach issues or. Right. It's so interesting how our body's talking to us all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. But the world we live in is so go that we just put a Band-Aid on it. We take a little Tylenol. We take a little pill, and the swelling will go down and whatever. Right. Why is it inflamed? Right. Yeah. So exactly. Understand what's causing that inflammation, and I'm talking about theoretical inflammation, but also going on, and sometimes you'll find it's not even what you think it is. Nope, it's not. Can I ask you so you have said how busy you are and how much you have on your plate. So by the way, thank you so much for making the time to talk to me, because I know this is. This is part of my mission. I always ask myself, is this going to help somebody? Yeah. And, but I want to know, how good are your boundaries? I work on them. I work with them. And I would say prior to kids, I had terrible boundaries professionally. I said yes to everything.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, gosh, get good at your boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I know your worth. Time is money, friends. And I know that, that's, a saying that everybody uses, but it's tied to, your service, right? Yeah. And so a lot of us and a lot of entrepreneurs I work with, they devalue themselves pretty significantly right off the bat. They don't realize what their time is worth, what their service is worth, and their talent. And so it's really important that you say yes to, the things that are going to help you get closer to your goals.
Yeah.
And support of your mission, right? I said that. And the things that are just, I really don't want to do that thing, but I'm going to do it anyway because of blah, 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 blah. We'll make up a million reasons why we should just say yes. But when we don't acknowledge the boundary and we just say yes anyway, that's when all the things in our body start going out of whack. Because when we say yes long enough, we are betraying ourselves.
1,000%.
And so I have a hard time. Naturally I'm a recovering people pleaser. Okay. And so, being that type of person, I'm type A, I'm an ENFP if you follow Myers-Briggs. So I get my energy from other people, in conversation, and I like it, but it also can drain me a lot. So taking time to just go inward, be quiet, not even have anything on, and doing that is going to help fill my cup up.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're good about taking that time.
Yeah. It's hard these days with children. God love them. They're just these beautiful beings, and they require so much of our energy. And I don't think we acknowledge how much of the energy it takes.
Yeah.
And then with what's left over, we're crafting a career. We're crafting our self-care.
Yeah.
Relationships with our husbands and wives, those types of things. And so those boundaries that you're talking about are so important. And I think we just have to be unapologetic about saying no.
Yeah. And it's not personal.
Be uncomfortable.
People think that it's personal if you set a boundary or they're going to offend somebody, but it's not personal. It's about me needing to make sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I can be there for you.
Right. It's kind of so cliche, right? But it's the whole idea of the air mask coming down. You put that one on first, and then you put your kids on. Yeah. And I'll tell you, everything in my heart's like, heck no, I put my baby's mask on first. But how can you take care of them if you are fully? How can you take care of them if you're saying yes to everyone else?
And teaching them though too is really important because they have to see, even like you even putting that boundary in place for them. So this was a hard one for me, but so my kids are much older, but my youngest is 7.5. And when she was 1.5, 2, probably 2, I learned transcendental meditation, and it was a challenge, but I had to teach her what meditation was so that she understood that I'm doing this because this is a need for me. And she would either meditate next to me or she would lay and read or watch a show or something while I meditated, and it didn't go perfect, but she eventually learned. And then over the last few years now, she's old enough so I can say, mommy is going to go meditate and then I will do this with you. And she learned to respect that. But more so, I know that she learned that she gets to do that for herself. And that's the power in teaching them those boundaries. But also, yes, very important to have the boundaries with work and setting that sacred space of this is my time with my family.
Yeah, it's hard though, because some people that are pulling at you are other family members.
Yeah.
The thing is that we do train people of what to expect, right? And I think you had mentioned that. And so it's like, if we are consistently saying yes to them, they're going to keep coming back. And, if your well's not filled up, you're just going to, it's just going to be a bad, situation, and no one's going to be winning.
Right.
So you have to be winning first before other people around you can win. Like that's just something you have to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you might even like snap at that person. If it's a family member coming to you for things, you might end up snapping at them or losing it because you haven't taken care of yourself.
Right? No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I think boundaries are the name of the game. Really just for the busy woman or man, just, taking those moments and building in throughout your week. I think planning ahead of time is just so crucial. I mean, we can look at this from a goal perspective. And, anytime we have a goal, right, like we are going to just figure out, okay, what are the steps that I need to achieve this thing? What are those micro moves? What are those steps? How am I going to time block my week? I think that if you can take time before the week start to really just get excited about what you're doing that week, first and foremost, prime that brain, get it excited, but carve out those moments of self-care for yourself in the week. Put it on your calendar, color coded it in your favorite color. Okay, make a little create some synergy in the brain. Okay, give yourself a hit of dopamine every time you see that calendar. Whatever color you like, and just know that's coming for you, throughout the week, and then you can build that first. I recommend doing that first, and then layering in all the other stuff on top of it that you have to achieve some of the goals that you have. Because it's like that old science, experiment when you put all those big blocks in first, and then other stuff doesn't fit, right? But it can all fit if it's done correctly. So It's just. You just need to focus on what goes first. What's the biggest priority for me? And I definitely would start with the self-care.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you have kids. I get it.
Well, your kids are still really young. So, and what are they, 4?
I have a 1-year-old. And a 3-year-old. Yeah.
Okay. So 1 and 3. Yeah. Those are really fun ages. 3 was one of my favorite ages, I'll be honest.
So fun.
So hilarious. But I do that. Especially if I've had a more busy week, I will block out the day and it literally says Mandy rest day.
Right? Like you need that. You need it. And we don't do it. Especially if we have those little kids. I mean, just this morning, I'm trying to be super intentional about my health this year. I've had a lot of just weird things pop up. Even like my vocal cords are like really, you can probably hear it, I'm raspy. And I'm just trying to take better care of myself. And so what does that look like? And so I've been committed to getting up early and trying to get myself working out. Sometimes I prioritize the sleep instead, but I need to get my body moving. And it's hard. You've got those kids and they're little and they're still working on their sleep routine.
Yeah.
And so get up for you and they get up anyway. And so, what does that look like? And so I get it. Not every day is going to be perfect. But I think if you can just plan it out in advance, it's going to help you. You have something to shoot at, right? Otherwise, kind of aimlessly thinking, okay, sometime this week I'm going to get some time for me.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, sometime this week I'm going to get time for me. And then it's Sunday. It's like, oh, mama.
Yeah.
I was too busy. So chart it out and build your support network, whether that's your husband, people that in your community that you trust, build it out. I'm still working on building my raft here and who is on my raft to help me as I'm just journeying here.
That is so vital.
It is. And I'm learning on knowing that it might not be the people I thought it was.
Right.
Okay. And, we talk about vibration and woo-woo-ness, open yourself up to that, meditate on that, let the universe know, exactly the things you need to feel nourished. I think you'll be interestingly surprised with how you are blessed.
Yeah, it never is how you think it is. And the community goes beyond the younger years because, I've almost 16, 12, and 7. So it's the need for it in the teenage years is just as great because these people become the other safe adults that your kids can turn to in their time of need. They don't always want to come to mom and dad. They need to be able to have those other people in that tight circle to turn to.
Definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
I pray that, all the people I'm curating in my life right now can be, a beacon for them, for whatever they need. Because you're right. we're not the person. I think it's hard for us as parents to think, what do you mean I'm not the person?
Yeah.
You can't be the person, you know? Maybe you're not called to help with that thing.
Right.
That being okay. We're all given different talents and gifts. I tell my clients that all the time. Like, you know, maybe the job you're in right now is not for you.
Right.
Let's look at you are amazing at, and let's see how we can use those gifts to let you shine. So, I mean, let our kids gravitate to someone that can help the most. And
for sure. So what are you doing? I know you're working, and I love your corporate job, by the way, because I believe that is such a necessity, teaching connection and communication and all those things. It's a lot of things that I feel like like there should have been a communication class in high school, middle school, all throughout. I will say, like, my kids' schools, they have rolled out this amazing program teaching empathy and compassion and communication and how to share things. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. We definitely didn't have that. So that's...
No. It's becoming more progressive in that way.
Yeah.
There's a mix of things happening in school, some of which I think are a little bit scary for some, and other things that are great, you know. So it's just kind of being in that involved space and knowing, okay, what's being taught, what's not being taught, and just where can you really kind of provide that extra fluff and support as a parent, you know?
Yeah.
Offering communication.
I feel really blessed in that, because I see what they're teaching each week. They send it home every Monday. They let us know, and that's
neat.
It's always really good. But other than your corporate, like, so are we going to have an event? Like, what we got going on, girl?
What's next? I would tell you, I've been getting some real event vibes. Like, now that, like, you know, the pandemic is, can we say it's ended? Like,
I feel it's gone for me.
So, you know, I'm living life as normal again. I needed to. I was going to go crazy. Like,
yeah.
Time to become a mother. I'm so sorry to all of the moms listening to this who had to experience that. I'm saying sorry to myself too.
Yeah.
I feel helped in many ways, and it was hard. But I'm healing through that still, because I'm still, like, you know, some of it was hard to work through.
Right.
But the other side, I think, is there's this renaissance of opportunity for us in career, especially because jobs have changed a lot. A lot of people are working from home, which is super cool. I'm working from home. My commute was like over, oh my gosh, I think it could be upward of 6 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm so grateful. And I know that is the case for a lot of us. And I think too, there's just new types of jobs available. And I think a lot of us have also kind of butted into this entrepreneurial space. Like, oh, I don't have to work for the man. Like, let me, sorry for not using a better term there. But
it is what it is.
Other things I can do to support myself. And I think there's so much inside of ourselves that we can, like, actually use, like, talents to make a business. We just don't realize it. So in terms of, like, what's next, I mean, I think an event could absolutely, you know, be in the works. I've been getting some serious, like, vibes for that, just some downloads, if you will, for, hey, maybe it's time to build community. I was actually thinking, just, it's such a small scale, but I don't know, since I become a mom, I so feel like local's where it's at.
Yeah.
I've gotten connected with some local moms, and just having them around has been such a beautiful force in my life, helping me to be better and grow. And so, I don't know, I've been thinking, like, it might be time to start doing some in-person things, whether it's small, like, entrepreneur-based networking, like even starting a networking type of community as, like, an extension of my company. So that is somewhat kind of in the works.
Yeah.
Big event like the Sexy Side of Life could come back again at some point. It takes a lot of work to do an event. Talk about courage and bravery.
Yeah. Well, you killed it. It looked phenomenal. You know what? Let me tell you something about that, because for me, which I'm going to sidestep for one quick second, I would love to know what your human design is. I don't know if you're open to that, but I feel like I can pinpoint you. Oh, you looked already.
I haven't. I'm making an assumption.
I totally think that you're a manifesting generator, and I think you have a defined heart.
Yeah, I'm a Myers-Briggs practitioner, and if you know what that is,
I do. It's what I used to use before I did human design.
Yeah, and so I'm so captivated by human design And I've actually been thinking, you know what, I'm going to like create this hybrid of like trainings. I have trainings on Myers-Briggs, how to use your personality type to better connect with people, all yada, yada, right? But I've been super intrigued by the human design model. And I don't know what I am, but I'm pretty sure I would probably be the manifesting generator.
So generators have that Energizer bunny where they're just like steady, go, go, go. A Manny Gen has go, 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 rest, go, 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 rest. And Manny Gens they'll start a bunch of different projects and do a ton of different things.
Totally.
Like multitasking at its finest. And here, I'm a projector. I cannot multitask. It doesn't happen. Like, I have to do not disturb my phone all the time because I just can't.
Well, you know, it's a blessing and a curse, right? So the great thing about, I think, being a generator, and I'm not an expert at the human design stuff. I'll get there. But I do think that for those of us who, if we think we're a generator or a manifesting generator, I think there is a lot of that probably. There's a lot of energy. Some of it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Can be used as a motivation technique for others. One of my biggest qualities in myself is I can create energy for other people. So it's like, I'm going to motivate the shit out of you.
Yeah.
To go for your dreams. Call your shot. Take your leap, go do the thing. And honestly, it's what I've been known for in my corporate space.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say too before I sidestep was seeing you do that event as a projector. Like, we like to see what's possible. We like to see that it can be done. So you did create that energy for me. I haven't done the event thing yet. I've done small community events, my Reiki circles and things, but I would love to tackle a big event, but I'm just...
we can definitely sideline on that in some time, and we can talk about it. There's a lot of details that go into it. It's insane. It was probably the most stressful. It was a very hard time for me too. I unfortunately, it took a lot of energy to do that event. I brought some incredible speakers, flew-in speakers to speak at this event. It was costly.
Yeah.
Because I wanted it to be luxurious. I wanted you to walk into this event. I wanted you to feel cared for, and I wanted you to just feel like you were kind of being transported somehow, somewhere that just wasn't your day to day. You looked good that day. You got your fancy clothes on, and put your red lipstick and high heels on, and you connected with some other women, and you got motivated by people that had such a different perspective than where you are. Got to roadmap out where we currently are, the things we wanted to change. And it was very heart-centered. That's just, I can't do anything that's not a little bit warm and fuzzy-feely. That's just how I do life and business too. And it's one and the same. I even get the Navy dudes to get up and dance, okay? It's what we do.
That's great.
But yeah, so I think, there's nothing like a good event. It's just, it's beautiful. It really is. I had another point, and I think I lost my train.
That's all right.
With the Navy dancing.
Well, it seems like it's one of those things that the reason I haven't embarked on it is because I don't think I could tackle it alone.
Yeah, I think it's great to... I remember my point now, but I think it's great to partner with people. If someone that kind of, matches your same intent, the one thing I would consider when you're partnering with anyone is are you aligned, right?
Yeah.
So the alignment's there, I say go for it. So conquer and divide that up, because it is a big undertaking. And, I took it on in a time when I didn't have children. I don't know. I worry about the event today. If I took that on right now with the kids in my space and time, could I do it, right? And of course I could, but I'd have to recruit a really good team to kind of put in place. I was a one-man show that many years ago doing that kind of stuff, and it was hard on me, my body and mind, and I miscarried before my event. And it was a really hard time. I was so excited. I remember finding out I was pregnant, and I was like, wow, I'll reveal this on stage, and share, and it's just awesome. So excited. And several weeks when we were in hard sale for the event, I miscarried, and I remember just saying, I just need a week off. I'm not going to touch social media. I'm not going to sell a ticket. I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to like really, what do I need for this week? And it was awful. It was just awful. And I did, but getting the same momentum back up to I think carry it through was really hard for me to do. So, I think taking on those big goals, it's so important that like mentally and physically, like you are prepared and you're doing the things mentally and physically along your journey to keep you where you need to be. So it all just goes back to that self-care. But I do think I may have been pushing myself a little too hard,
Yeah.
In that space. So it just, but it's life. It happens, and healing had to happen after that, and the show had to go on. And so it was like, all right, we came this far. We're going to do this. God put this in my lap, and he's going to carry me through. And he did. I remember he did. I had to host the event, and I, have my whole speaking segment, etc. And I was so busy with everything else. I'm like, God's going to give me the words. He's going to put the words in my heart. And he did.
Yeah.
And he always did. And he'll do it for you too. Like, that's just,
right.
We just have to trust. Universe, God, whatever you,
right.
whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
It's all one.
I agree. It's all one and the same. And two, it's such a hard thing. Well, it's not hard. It's just kind of tricky because it's like, I really believe in divine timing and everything happens when it's supposed to. And I also believe that you're not given more than you can
handle.
Yeah. So it's, I know what hasn't happened for me yet hasn't happened because I've been being prepared for what needs to be handled.
But it's so hard to accept.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to accept. I ask God all the time, like, wow, why not? Why does this keep happening this way? Like, what are you trying to tell me? So, if you're in a vulnerable space and you're listening to this and you just feel like, dang, I just keep getting beat down. Like, what is the message that you're supposed to be receiving?
Mm-hmm.
Or how are you supposed to be gaining strength from these scenarios?
Yeah.
But you have to take time to reflect on that. If you are not, I don't know that you'll ever actually progress past the space.
Right. What's the lesson?
But there's a message. There's a lesson.
There's a lesson. Yeah. And so often we get focused on why is this happening? Why? And not what can I learn? What do I need to learn?
Yeah, 100%. There's even like anger kind of wrapped up in there because we want it now. And I often think to myself, if I received the things that I wanted and prayed for several years ago, I would not have been ready to receive it. I remember like when I first started out, I'm like, oh man, like I want so many more people to be like watching this story or like watching this video or signing up for this training. Thank God they did it.
Yeah.
I mean, in that space where you're figuring it out, you're falling, you're tripping, you're skinning your knees, okay? Do that when not a million people are watching.
Exactly. Like your first live.
Yes. I mean, that's what you do. Like, allow yourself the space.
Yeah.
Mistakes.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I recently had a reel go viral on Facebook and I was, I've never had that happen before. It got like 100,000 plus views and thousands of reshares, tons of comments, and there was a lot of hate comments. And when I first started to see, okay, this video is picking up and I'm getting these comments, I'm reminding myself, Mandy, the reason why this has never happened to you before is because you couldn't handle the comments that were going to come, but you can handle it now. So I was able to started the people pleaser in me. My heart started racing like, oh my gosh, I upset somebody with this. And then I put my phone away. I walked off and took a moment. And then I reminded myself, like, not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to agree with you. And that's okay. And this was the moment. This is the moment. It's not to say that I've like wanted to go viral, but truthfully, like, I want my message to be heard. I feel like people need to hear it. So it was that reminder of like, maybe I wasn't ready on all those years that I've been investing in putting content out. Wasn't ready. Now I have to face the music and know this is what you've been preparing for.
Yes. And you know, we are all right now being prepared for something. Mm-hmm. We're all being something. But my God, we have got to be still enough to listen to how we are supposed to be enhancing and growing through that to get to that next step. If we are not, we're going to miss the boat. We're going to miss the boat.
Oh my gosh. That's so perfect. You have any final thoughts, or was that that's a great little thing to end on?
I would just say that, you know, we talked a lot today about transformation, of course, belief, care, you know, for yourself. And I think that if anyone's listening to this who has a dream for their family, or a dream for a career, or a dream for a business, or just a dream to feel better in their bodies, go for it. Mm-hmm. Nobody is going to take those action steps for you but yourself. And it's going to be hard. It's like there's this book, and I'm going to miss the author. Louise Hayes. Yeah, that's it. She talks about how, like, when you're working on yourself, it's like when you're scrubbing a pan and it's got grease and grime all over it. It's disgusting. And when you start working on yourself, it's like the pan. Put the soap in, you start scrubbing. What happens to that pan? It gets even more disgusting. Like, the grime starts getting up. It's oily. It's gross. It stinks, you know. But you're scrubbing, and finally you start to see a little bottom piece of that pan. Then you scrub a little more. You keep doing some inner work. You keep taking those action steps. You keep getting beat down a little bit, but you're scrubbing, and more of the shine starts to happen. And then suddenly, the whole bottom part of that pan, once you flip it upside down and dump that water out, you can see that shiny surface. And that's you. You're like the pan. So
that's so good. I love that so much. You got to scrub those parts of you. And I would even go on to say, like, that's the parts that have been conditioned. That's the people pleaser. That's all the things. Then you have to wash that away so you can see your true self. And
yeah. And roll up your sleeves and know that it's not saying that you have to subscribe to what is hard, but you do have to subscribe to what is required. Sometimes what is required can be challenging, and so we have to persevere.
I love that. So I'm like, want to clap, but I don't want to hurt anybody's ears. Like, you don't have to subscribe to the hard. I know it's hard, but you do got to do what's good and what's right and what's true and what's required of you.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
And I love it. It's just like, I haven't been able to see your beautiful face. Like, I mean, yes, I see you online, but, you know, getting to talk to you. I wish I had a waffle, but I could have had one as a joke. I actually ate a waffle this morning.
That's
but, it's so lovely to see you. And we'll definitely get together. Maybe we'll do this again. We'll do it in person.
Oh, I would love that so much.
Yeah. Oh.
Hey, thank you guys again so much for being here. I really hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you want to catch up with Alexia, you can follow her on Instagram. Her handle is Alexia Mercedes Ferrari. And I'll be sure to link that too in the show notes. All right, until next time, remember you are loved and you are appreciated and you are valued. Bye now.